Entra a wradio.com.mx. Checa más información de nuestros invitados, contenidos y escucha nuestro podcast. Marta de Baile 2023. Estamos donde estés.
Ay, no saben la felicidad que me da esta conversación. Pongan mucha atención porque se van a divertir mucho. Y ¿saben qué? Van a aprender mucho. Ahora sí que aguántenme la vara, porque esta conversación va a tener que ser en inglés. Pero ya saben que yo nunca los abandono. Y voy traduciendo al hilo. Y miren que rara vez se me va un concepto. Matthew Hussey está con nosotros. Matthew Hussey está en Los Ángeles. Él es autor de un bestseller del New York Times que se llama Get the Guy. O sea, consíguete al fulano. Él es coach de relaciones. Y el otro día lo vi en su Instagram. Síganlo en Matthew Hussey. Les va a gustar. Se llama The Matthew Hussey. Ahorita se los pongo en Twitter, porque sube muchísimo contenido. Y lo escuché hablando sobre cómo saber si estás en una relación con una persona, hombre, mujer, niño, quimera, narcisista. Y entonces le dijimos a Matthew, tienes que venir a radio acá en México a hablar de esto, porque creo que va a ser súper interesante para la gente. Creo que la última vez que nos vimos fue durante la pandemia. My dear friend, how are you?
Well, I do hope you were saying nice things, because
I was saying beautiful things about you. I think the last time, I think that the last time we spoke was during COVID, wasn't it?
It was. It felt like a long time ago now.
A long time
It's lovely
ago.
to see you again.
It's
How are
lovely to
you?
see you too. I was telling everybody that they should definitely follow you on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, because you have amazing content. And I was also telling them that I ran into one of your videos that you were talking about narcissism and how to know that you're in a relationship with a narcissist, and that we told you definitely have to come on Mexican radio to talk about this, because this is going to be so interesting and so revealing to so many people that are in a relationship with a person like this and have no idea what the problem is. So shoot, my friend, the microphone is yours. Just bear with me, give the whole concept, then stop, and I'll speak in Spanish and we'll go back and forth.
Of course.
Okay.
Well, I should say that there was a bit of a bait and switch with that title, because my expertise is not narcissism. And I would say to people to go check out people like Dr. Ramani, who are psychologists in narcissism that actually diagnose people. But narcissism has become a very ubiquitous word these days. Yeah. And what I wanted to do is say, hey, I may not be an expert on narcissism and have the credentials to diagnose it, but I have spent 15 years dealing with people who have trouble leaving relationships with people who treat them badly, who don't meet their needs, who make them feel wrong for even having needs, and who lie and manipulate them in the most egregious and toxic of ways. And what fascinated me is, why is it when we are constantly made miserable by somebody? Why is it when the most difficult relationship we've ever had is the one we are still in? Why is it that we seem unable to leave? And this was really me exploring that question in a detailed way, because I think that if you can get someone to the point where, if I can create something and out of 1,000 people that watch it, 5 more leave than would have done without that video, I think I saved 5 lives. Absolutely. With that video. Absolutely. And so this is what that video was intended to do.
Okay, great. So let me say all that you said in Spanish. Dice, miren, yo no soy psiquiatra o psicólogo especialista en narcisismo. Hay gente que es especialista en eso. No estoy tratando de diagnosticar a un narcisista, pero lo que sí les puedo decir es que Matthew Hussey lleva 15 años dedicado a estudiar relaciones. Y lo que él está tratando de entender es por qué la gente que está en una relación con una persona que no la trata bien, no te hace bien, no cumple con tus necesidades, de hecho te hace sentir culpable por querer necesitar lo que necesitas, ¿por qué siguen en esa relación? ¿Por qué normalmente la relación más horrenda de tu vida es normalmente en la que actualmente estás? Entonces dice, la razón por la cual yo hago lo que hago es que pienso que si mi video hablando sobre este tema del cual vamos a hablar hoy, lo ven 1,000 personas. Y gracias a eso, de 1,000 personas allá afuera, 5 les cae el 20. Y gracias a esa conversación, deciden cambiar su vida y dejar esa relación tóxica. La misión está más que cumplida, porque yo me quedo pensando que por lo menos le salvé la vida a 5 personas. Okay, nail that down. So, number 1, what should we pay attention to?
And let me ask you before I proceed, do I need to talk in shorter paragraphs for your sake?
Not at all. You can speak as fast as you can, as long as you can. I will not forget a word of what you're saying. I promise.
That's very impressive.
Okay, shoot.
The first, and I want people to realize that as I go through these 7 things, they are actually designed to model the order of thought that people actually naturally go through in this situation. So it's actually really important people listen to them in order.
Okay.
The first one is that you must, at a certain point in your life, assume that someone will not change.
Will
not. And this has to be based on the empiricism of your life. Empiricism is, what is my experience of this person? Have they ever, in the time that I have known them, truly changed? Maybe we had an argument at certain points. Maybe there were moments where I threatened to leave, where I threatened that it would break if we went any further. And maybe there was a little spike on the graph for a moment. Their behavior changed just for a moment, but then they defaulted back to their baseline. Have they ever actually fundamentally changed? And if the answer is no, and you know that you've shown them every possible reaction to their actions, you've gotten angry, you've gotten sad, you've cried, you've become depressed, you have threatened them, you have gone cold and silent on them, you've been through everything. Why is it now that you think they are suddenly going to deviate from the character you've seen all along? What new emotion do you have up your sleeve to show them that's suddenly going to make them behave any different? You have to assume they'll never change, because the chances are they won't. And it's too big of a gamble at a certain point to stake your life on the hopes that they will. We aren't Mario. We don't get 3 lives.
Yeah.
We get this one.
Yeah.
So at a certain point, you run out the clock.
Exactly. And what is so dangerous about what you just said is that when you realize consciously or subconsciously that the person is not going to change, then what do people do? They start changing. So maybe you stop doing things to annoy him or annoy her, and you stop seeing certain people, and you stop dressing in a certain way, and you try to become a certain person to adapt yourself and try to fit into that puzzle. So let me say both things in Spanish, but you get my drift, no? You agree with me?
100. I have a comment on it, but I'll let you
just say it.
Every relationship, it's important to say, requires compromise and a little sacrifice here and there. And we by the nature of being with someone, we do change in certain ways. The question is, do the changes I make fundamentally begin to amputate important and necessary parts of myself?
Of course. Dice, miren, el orden en el que yo les voy a decir las cosas es muy importante, porque es en el orden en que normalmente la gente se cuestiona las cosas o debería de cuestionárselas. Entonces, lo primero que les voy a decir es, tienes que asumir la premisa de que la persona nunca va a cambiar. Y esto lo tienes que basar en tus experiencias personales con esa persona. O sea, tiene que ser una apreciación empírica de lo que has vivido y de tus experiencias. A ver, si estás con una persona en donde, híjole, hubo unos pequeños cambios, imaginemos una gráfica, unos mini piquitos, porque un día le quitaste el habla 3 días, entonces 2 días cambió su actitud y se compuso, o porque un día le dijiste que ahora sí le ibas a pedir el divorcio, entonces como que una semana, un mes, ya le echó más ganas a la relación. Pero cuando te das cuenta, por tu historia con él o con ella, que han sido pequeños piquitos, pero que intrínsecamente esa persona sigue siendo la persona que es. Uno. Dos, que has agotado todos tus recursos emocionales para ver si incitas el cambio en la persona. Le quitas el habla, te pones furiosa, luego usas la estrategia de entonces voy a llorar, luego te deprimes, se lo pides a las buenas, se lo pides a las malas, lo amenazas con irte para siempre, le dices que mañana le va a hablar tu abogado. O sea, ya has de verdad agotado cualquier estrategia para ver si cambia. Llega un momento en que te tienes que dar cuenta que la persona intrínsecamente no va a cambiar. Entonces, lo que le dije yo a Matthew es, lo peligroso de esa situación es que cuando llegas a ese punto de quiebre, pasan dos cosas. O te terminas yendo de la relación o terminas cambiando tú. Y lo que me añade Matthew a eso es, claro, lo peligroso de eso es que tú empiezas a cambiar tu forma de ser, cómo te vistes, cómo hablas, ya no ves a esos amigos para no causar un problema, entonces ya no ves a tu familia, entonces ya dejas de trabajar, entonces ya haces un esfuerzo por bajar de peso porque crees que a lo mejor tu gordura es lo que lo tiene mal. Y empiezas no solamente a convertirte en una persona que tú no eres, empiezas a mutilarte. Uno tiene que entender en cierto punto de la relación, por la historia misma, que una persona, si no ha cambiado, probablemente nunca va a cambiar. Miren, mejor resumen no les puedo dar. Mi mamá decía, eso ya no va a dar, porque si iba a dar, ya hubiera dado. My mom has an amazing saying for what you just said about people never changing and about things never changing. If he was going to change, he would have already changed. So if he hasn't, it's because he won't ever. So we got that nailed down, and I don't want to lose time, but let's go with point number 2.
So with someone who has no interest in meeting our needs and hearing what we have to say, anything we need is an inconvenience to them.
Yeah.
They are, by definition, incredibly selfish, incredibly self-centered. They're not looking to be a teammate. What that kind of person tends to be attracted to or zones in on is someone with an enormous capacity for empathy.
Ay, qué horror. Qué horror. You know that word. Qué horror.
No.
Like what a horror. That's
the horror.
Yeah.
The horror.
Horror.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Empathy is a very, very dangerous thing. Now, of course, if we are the empathetic person, we have probably always seen that as one of the most beautiful parts of ourselves.
Yeah.
The problem is it becomes weaponized against you and it becomes your greatest enemy at a certain point in this kind of relationship. Because empathy, if it becomes unending, it means there is no limit to how far you can fall in a relationship like this. And there is no limit to the amount of destruction someone can do to your life, your confidence, your personality. Because when you empathize, you always find a justification for everything.
Yes.
You say, well, they had a really difficult childhood.
Yeah.
Well, they've been through a lot. Well, and by the way, even if you can't justify it through things in their life, even if we say they're just a total narcissist and they're wired in a way that makes them act this way, your empathy can even excuse that because you go, they can't help it.
Yeah, exactly.
If they could help it, they would. And I still love this person. So they can't do any better. They're doing their best. But that's the problem, is when someone's best means that you're going to live a life of misery, then what you have to do, you don't want to lose your empathy or your kindness. It's one of your beautiful qualities, but you have to trade your empathy for a distant compassion.
Yeah.
I can still be compassionate to you and I can still understand you and why you are the way you are, or not, but I can have compassion even if I don't understand, but I can't do that up close with you.
Exactly.
It's easier, by the way, I should say this one last thing. It's easier to do this with a family member in some cases, not in all, but in some cases, because with a family member, you can keep them at arm's length. Yeah. You can say, you're bad for me if I let you close, and I can never rely on you for anything, but I still want to have a relationship with you at arm's length. You can't have an arm's length romantic relationship.
Exactly.
It's in or it's out. So if someone wreaks havoc in your life, it has to be out.
Dice, a ver, el punto número 2. Entonces, regresemos al tema. Estás en una relación con una persona que no te hace bien, que no tiene ningún interés en entender qué necesitas. Y de hecho, tus necesidades son absolutamente una inconveniencia para ella o para él. Esta gente normalmente gravita y está muy atraída a la gente con altos niveles de empatía. Y entonces, si tú eres una persona súper empática, de entrada tú pensarías que esa es una cualidad y un talento y un valor muy bonito. Y estarás muy orgullosa de lo empática que eres. El peligro de eso es que tú puedes hacerte bolas y estirar tu empatía a un nivel que empiezas a usar tu empatía natural para justificar las acciones del otro. Por ejemplo, es que pobrecito, porque cuando él era chiquito, su papá le pegaba. No, pues es que ¿cómo no va a ser así? Si la verdad es que creció en una familia súper violenta o su mamá lo abandonó. No, lo que pasa es que, mira, contesta mal y está muy agresivo porque anda bien estresado y bien preocupado por el trabajo. Y en nombre de tu empatía, vas a justificar todo lo que haga esa persona que no es correcto. Entonces llega un momento en la vida en donde uno tiene que abrir los ojos y entender que tú no tienes por qué perder tus niveles de empatía, que es una cualidad muy linda en un ser humano. Tú tienes que sustituir la empatía por la compasión. Porque una cosa es sentir empatía y estar en una relación pegado, justificando a alguien constantemente, y otra cosa es retirarte de esa relación, seguir sintiendo compasión por una persona y a lo mejor entender o no por qué es como es y por qué se conduce como se conduce y por qué actúa como actúa. Pero eso lo haces a la distancia. Y el problema con las relaciones con gente de este estilo es que tú puedes guardar distancia con un familiar, por ejemplo, que fuera tóxico, que fuera narcisista, que sabes que no te hace bien, algo que hemos hablado mucho con Tere Díaz, y puede ser tu mamá o tu papá o tus hermanos, y puedes tomar la decisión de verlos menos, de estar menos en contacto, nada más nos vamos a ver en el funeral de mi abuela y a lo mejor en diciembre, cero vamos a vernos diario, cero vamos a hablar diario. Tú puedes guardar distancia con un familiar, pero tú no puedes guardar distancia con una pareja. Con una pareja es o todo o nada. Estás adentro o estás afuera. Y por eso, demasiada empatía puede ser demasiado peligroso y se puede usar en tu contra cuando la utilizas para justificar y explicar ante ti misma todas las conductas indeseables de tu pareja. You would be so proud of me. I said everything to the T.
Trust me, I already am.
Do you understand Spanish at all?
There are brief moments where I catch words and I know where you are in what I've said. And I have to say, I wasn't going to repeat it because maybe you'd be bored by the compliment, but it's very, very impressive to watch you doing this.
Thank you, my dear. Okay, number 3.
Amazing. And Marta, tell me, would you prefer if we got through all of them today? Because I can help you do that if you'd like, or do you not mind?
No, I really don't mind. But if you want to go through them, we can do that as well.
No. Whatever is good for your show. I'm here for you. So
okay,
if you don't mind
let's do 7 today because there's so many other things I want to talk to you about in the future.
Perfect.
So let's get this, nailed down.
So, number 3, empathy is something none of us mind being accused of. But the danger is that our empathy is used by us to mask our fears. And yes, we are empathetic, but we're also afraid for ourselves. If we leave, we'll be alone. If we leave, we'll have to get out there again and go on dates, and we may not find anybody. And we've also invested so much time in this person that we want to make it work because we're terrified that, well, if I leave now, all of it counted for nothing. So it's not just that we're empathetic. It's that we have fears that make us stay. But empathy is a much more righteous thing to say to people. When people say, why don't you leave? You go, because I care about this person.
Because I love this person. Yeah.
Correct. It's much harder to say when someone says, why don't you leave? Yeah. We have to be very careful about the sleight of hand that our brain does, where it uses our empathy to mask our fear.
Claro. Dice, a ver, como les decía, no permitas que tu empatía enmascare la razón principal por la cual no te vas, que es en realidad porque te da miedo. Entonces, es mucho más fácil decir, cuando te dice alguien, pero ¿por qué no lo dejas? Es que te digo algo, es que le tengo mucho cariño, es que es el papá de mis hijos, es que lo quiero mucho, es que te digo una cosa, siento que en el fondo, que no sé qué tan lejos es ese fondo, qué tan profundo, él es una buena persona. En vez de aceptar que la neta verdadera razón por la cual no te vas de la relación es porque te da miedo. Porque te da miedo estar sola, porque te da miedo salir al mundo, porque te da pavor, y si no encuentro a alguien, y si me quedo sola para siempre, y si no puedo hacerlo sola. Entonces, es bien peligroso y hay que tener bien claro y no permitir que tu mente te juegue el truco de hacerte creer que sigues ahí porque eres bien linda y aceptar que la verdad es que sigues ahí porque tienes miedo. Entonces, sí le quiero preguntar a Matthew que ese miedo y esa fantasía de que tenemos todos, de que nunca voy a encontrar a alguien que me ame como él, o nunca voy a encontrar una chava que me guste tanto como me gusta ella, o la calle está bien dura, todas mis amigas que están solteras la están viendo negras y yo voy a estar igual. ¿Qué te dices en esos momentos? So before we go to the next point, I want to talk about something else that happens to women and men, and it's happened to me many times in the past. When that's what we say to ourselves. Okay, when you're honest and you say, okay, I'm not leaving because I am scared, because all my friends that are divorced are having a really hard time finding great guys. I don't want to be alone. Nobody is going to love me the way she loves me or the way he loves me. I'm never going to like anybody as much as I like him. And all these things that we say to ourselves to continue fulfilling this prophecy. What should we say to ourselves then? How do we stop these negative thoughts of thinking that after this relationship, everything in our life is going to be downhill?
Well, firstly, you're not the luckiest person in the entire world that you just happen to find the one other great person there is.
Yeah.
There are many great people out there, and the fallacy is that what we have to remember is we value this person so much because we have invested so much in them.
Yeah.
We have invested all this time and energy in getting to know them and creating a bond with them and connecting at the deepest level. So of course, the person that you go on a date with a month from now, when you leave, or 6 months from now, cannot, even if they're better, they can't live up to the history of what you've created because history is history.
Yeah.
But they can become as great and better, let's hope, than the thing you had. I would also say to people, you were 50% of the relationship. And probably more if you were the one giving the most.
Yeah.
So all of that magic you think you'll miss, all of that connection you think you miss,
it's within
all
you.
of that love you think you miss, you were the one who was responsible for that. It's like making the most amazing sandwich and then giving it to someone and they eat the sandwich and they go, oh, that was the most amazing sandwich. And you go, I'm terrified of losing this person because I'm going to lose the person who really enjoys this great sandwich I make. You're the one making the great sandwich. You can go and make it again. So you were 50% of the relationship and maybe more. Never forget that because half of what you'll miss when you leave is you.
Is you. Yeah. That's amazing. You know, I've never heard that before. I love what you just said. Le digo, entonces, ¿qué decimos? ¿Qué nos decimos? ¿Cómo paramos este pensamiento de creer que nunca más a alguien y nunca más me va a gustar y nunca más voy a encontrar y todas mis amigas están solteras y la calle está muy dura? A ver, quiero aclararles una cosa. El problema es que lo que estamos pensando es que si en un mes salimos con un fulano o con una fulana, y lo estamos comparando con nuestra relación anterior, en la cual hemos invertido 5 años, 10 años, 15 años, tiempo, dinero, esfuerzo, cariño, amor, le has echado ganas, pues obviamente va a pesar más la relación anterior que la nueva. Pero eso no significa que la relación nueva o que el fulano nuevo no puedas tú construir algo igual y esperemos que todavía mejor con alguien mucho mejor que el anterior. Y la historia obviamente pesa. Entonces, el valor que le das a tu inversión anterior, pues no va a ser el valor al fulano que le vas a dar que conociste antier y que llevas 2 días de conocer. Pero dice Matthew algo bien interesante que nunca había oído y me encantó lo que dijo. A ver, tú en esa relación eras por lo menos el 50%, si no es que más. En los casos en donde tú eres el que das, el que escuchas, el que apoyas, el que tienes la paciencia, el que cedes, el que concedes. Entonces, eso está dentro de ti. Eso no se lo lleva a la otra persona. Eso tú te lo llevas a otra relación. Esas son tus capacidades y tus herramientas propias internas para construir una relación nueva. Es como si un día le haces un sándwich a tu pareja, se lo das y tu pareja te dice, no manches, este es el mejor sándwich que he comido en mi vida. Acto seguido tú dices, qué miedo, qué pánico, no quiero perder a la persona que me va a decir que yo hago los mejores sándwiches. ¿De qué estás hablando? Si la que hizo el sándwich eres tú eres la autora, tú eres la que lo trae y eso te lo puedes llevar a cualquier otra relación. You see how passionate I get about what you said?
If I wish that I could afford you to be the voice actor that translates all of my videos to Spanish, because they would kill.
Oh, we can talk about a small compensation, and I will definitely help you. Okay, so I think we're definitely not going to finish 7 at this point, okay. But whatever we do, we'll do a part 2. Okay, now, you say, we have to be willing to light the fuse that blows up our own life. What do you mean?
Yeah, and this is the hardest part, is that, usually leaving a situation like this on some level feels like blowing up our own life. There is so much pain to go through and so much destruction that we have to bring on for ourselves. And we have to go through all of that. And that's the hardest thing to do, because we want someone to do it for us. It was almost like we want to meet this catastrophic event that we had no control over, and that did the hard part. But why, if you wait for the catastrophe, then it might get so bad that you'll forever regret how much destruction was caused. So you have to be willing to create that destruction yourself today. And I have found that one of the ways that we can help ourselves to do that is to genuinely have a radical acceptance of where we actually are. And it's not where we thought we were. We've been lying to ourselves and to other people about where we are. I'm in a happy marriage. We're just working on things. There's no we. You weren't working on things together. You were trying to figure out how to exist in this relationship. We have our ups and downs, but it's okay. I'm someone who's going to be in this marriage for life or in this relationship for life. We have our story that we've been telling ourselves, and we're going to have to accept that we're not where we thought we were. The reality is, okay, I'm 50 and I am leaving a relationship and I'm going to be single again. I'm going to be repairing the damage that this relationship has done, and I'm going to be finding myself again in all of that. That's where I actually am. But the silver lining is that when we stop lying to ourselves about where we are even modest progress, even modest forward motion actually starts to feel good. If I lie to you and I say I have $100,000 in the bank, but really I have a debt of $20,000. If I lose that debt, if I pay for that debt and I get back to zero, I won't feel any progress because you still think I have $100,000.
Of course.
So I don't feel any progress. But if I'm honest with myself and I go, no, I'm in debt. Hey, Marta, I'm in debt, but I'm working on it. And then I halve that debt. I'm going to feel amazing because I'm going to feel like I genuinely made progress. I was honest with myself about where I am. And that is what people have to do. Lose the story of where you thought you were at this point in your life and get honest with your new starting point.
Ok, lo que quiere decir él es que uno tiene que estar dispuesto a prender la luz del fusible que prende tu propia vida. Entonces dice, miren, muchas veces uno está esperando a que pase una catástrofe para que tome una decisión. Uno está esperando a que pase algo en la vida que te orille a ya no tener salida y tener que tomar la decisión. A lo mejor para muchos puede ser, a ver, nada más que me pinte el cuerno y de ahí me agarro y me voy. O, a ver, en cuanto los niños se gradúen, ya de esta me agarro. Uno tiene que ser honesto consigo mismo. Y uno tiene que verdaderamente pensar, crear ese momento para tomar tu decisión. Y el primer paso que tienes que tomar es ser honesto contigo mismo y dejar de estarte contando una historia que no es la verdadera historia. Porque muchas veces si alguien te pregunta, ¿cómo vas? La respuesta inmediata y automática es, pues ahí vamos, bien, echándole ganas. Cuando nadie le está echando ganas a ese matrimonio más que tú, ¿eh? Entonces, uno tiene que ser honesto en hacer la evaluación de dónde estoy el día de hoy. Y decir, honestamente, tengo 50 años, estoy en una relación nefasta y voy a tomar la decisión de empezar a hacer lo que tengo que hacer para empezar a reconstruir mi vida. Porque esto no está padre. Porque nos mentimos para también justificarnos y porque es menos doloroso para nosotros que enfrentarlo, que estamos en una relación y pues que así es y pues que ni modo y bueno, pues este es el marido o la esposa que me tocó y bueno, pues esta es la vida y así es y hay que sufrir. Y cuando vienes de una cultura como la nuestra en donde entre más sufres, entre más te azotas, entre más abnegada, entre más arrastrada, mejor persona crees que eres porque eres más buena, porque eres más sacrificada, es todavía más difícil. Entonces él dice, es como si yo te digo ahorita que tengo $100,000 en el banco, cuando en realidad estoy endeudado con 20,000. Entonces, yo no voy a estar haciendo ningún progreso. Es mucho más honesto que yo te diga la neta y que me diga la neta a mí mismo. A ver, neta, tengo una deuda de $20,000. Ese es el primer paso para empezar a progresar. Y con pequeños pasos, uno puede empezar a progresar en su vida. Because what I also said in Spanish is, we come, especially in Latin America and other countries in the world, with very tribal societies where the more you suffer, the more subservient you are, the better person, the better woman, the gooder person you become. And then we tend to think that everything that we tell ourselves that we're not doing, or that, you know, this is life, this is what marriage is all about, this is the guy that, you know, that I have to put up with, or the girl, and, you know, this is what it is what it is, and conforming with whatever status you have, then you start thinking that you're a great person because you suffer, because you're everybody's slave, because you're his geisha, because you are super subservient, because, you know, they can whip you on the back and you'll just like pat them on theirs. It's very confusing and it's a very dangerous line.
I would put to people the story of Romeo and Juliet. Okay.
Okay.
Now, in Romeo and Juliet, they had to suffer. Two of them had to suffer. They were from different families who did not get along, and both of them had to overcome an extraordinary obstacle to try to be together. But they were both trying just as hard as each other to overcome it.
Yeah.
So the obstacle wasn't the other person. The obstacle was life.
Yeah.
relationships aren't easy. I don't agree when people say if it's right, it should be easy. Life isn't easy. So relationships aren't easy. But the hardest part should be what we have to overcome together.
Outside,
the hardest part shouldn't be you.
Exactly. The relationship should not be the enemy.
Correct. The relationship shouldn't be the enemy. Life should be the thing that we're like, wow, we have to deal with this really difficult thing. And yes, we have to wrestle with our demons together. But as a team, if you're the demon and I'm just the one wrestling with it, then there's no sense in that.
Absolutely. I mean, life is difficult enough to be dealing with damn life with a damn monkey on your back, poking on your neck all damn day long. Totally agree. Dice, a ver, me encanta lo que dijiste porque les voy a poner el ejemplo de Romeo y Julieta. Romeo y Julieta, pues es una tragedia de amor. Ellos lucharon y sufrían, pero no sufrían el uno por el otro. Sufrían por la vida, por los Capuletos y los Montague o los Montesco, no me acuerdo cómo se llamaban. El problema no eran ellos, no era el uno y el otro, no era la relación. Y dice Matthew, a ver, las relaciones no son fáciles. Yo no creo en la gente que dice que, ay, no, la relación que funciona fluye perfecto. No, todas las relaciones requieren chamba. Pero el chiste de una relación es que el enemigo no sea tu pareja. La vida es suficiente complicada allá afuera. Al contrario, tu pareja tiene que ser parte de tu equipo. Tu pareja tiene que ser, ahora sí que quien luche en la vida tan dura, mano a mano. La vida es suficientemente complicada para que encima traigas un diablo en la espalda picándote la nuca todo el día. You know what? I love talking to you. We are going to leave for part 2. Points 5, 6, and 7, my friend. Maybe not this coming week, but the week after. And I'll tell everybody to follow you on YouTube, on Instagram, and on Facebook.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to it.
Absolutely. A big kiss to you.
Hi, Martha.
A ver, sigan a Matthew Hussey. No saben qué padre contenido tiene y saben que todas estas conversaciones que tenemos, yo quisiese que esto fuera en español y que no tuviéramos que perder tiempo traduciendo de inglés a español todo el tiempo. Pero bueno, es lo que es y yo no puedo, como les he dicho siempre, quitarles a ustedes la oportunidad de escuchar a gente impresionante en otras partes del mundo que desafortunadamente pues no hablan nuestro idioma, pero pues si yo puedo hablar el idioma y traducírselos a ustedes, obviamente hay que aprovecharlo. Matthew Hussey es autor de un libro, por si lo quieren comprar, que fue un bestseller en el New York Times, que se llama Get the Guy, y es coach de relaciones y de autoconfianza. Es Matthew Hussey con doble S-E-Y en Facebook, The Matthew Hussey en Instagram y Matthew Hussey en YouTube. Y vamos a tener segunda parte, no esta semana que viene, sino la que sigue. Oigan, cuentavientes, nosotros nos vamos, pero estamos de regreso mañana en punto de las 10 de la mañana. Ahí viene Carlos Loret, ha pasado mucho en México y mucho en el mundo. Les mando un beso, pásenla muy bien. Nos vemos mañana en punto de las 10.
Síguenos en Instagram, Marta de Baile. No te pierdas lo mejor de Marta de Baile, dentro y fuera de la cabina.